We have Nettie on screen. She's feeling better. She's live with us tonight. This night.
Yes. Thank God. I'm so happy to be here.
All right, let's get over here and welcome some people in. I know that Nursing Our Travel Bug is wrapping theirs up right now, but we had MelNettie in here first. We have Hippie, who was able to park and watch us tonight, which is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We have James Catniece. We have Tommy Travels. Oh, Tommy, it doesn't take much to scare people. Just look.
No, baby, you stop that.
We have Shanna Craft coming in. Happy Place Camping. So, Nettie, you were saying that Donald recommended this in the chat last week. The story.
Yes, he did. I actually watched the replay because I was, of course, not feeling well. And then when I watched it and saw the chat, I saw him recommend it. Yeah. It's a pretty good story.
Well, I kind of want to give everybody a quick update before we get rolling here. Hey, Fordman, aka Kenneth Oakes. It's been a while since I gave kind of a health update and also kind of a life update. So my health update is I had another scope done and a biopsy. And at first, it kind of looked like there might be something else going on again, inflammation and some other junk, maybe an infection. But they sent it off to biopsy, and good news, I am clear again.
Yay! So, that's awesome news.
That was pretty exciting news.
Yes.
So that was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. I'm not sure. Hey, Thrifty Angela. And then on my life update, some of you may know that I have been dealing with some personal matters that I couldn't really talk about because I was in the middle of fighting for something that was really important to me. And I just wanted to say, without saying exactly what that is just yet, that situation has now been finalized. And I don't want to say too much, but I did really well in that situation. That's the way I will put that. So that has taken like a ton of weight off my shoulders, and you all have been so supportive during all of it. So I just kind of wanted to give you that update.
Great, BB. I'm so happy. That's good to hear.
Thanks, Nettie. Nettie has been a huge support to me through it all, and so has Tommy Travels and Nomadic Hippie and many of you in the community. So thank you all. All right. He said, don't cry, don't cry. I feel the emotions, says Hippie.
I know.
All right. So let's jump into this story. Y'all know it takes me a minute to share the screen. So hold on just 1 second. All right. Now this is the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Hey, Nursing Our Travel Bug. Thanks so much for the raid, and thanks so much for mentioning us over there in your live. I appreciate that. All right.
I was hoping he was going to get bigger. I'm like, I can't see.
Yeah, it gets bigger. Let me see. There we go.
Yay.
All right. So I'll let you do the first one.
Okay. On June 13th, 1977, Lori Lee Farmer, age 8, Michelle Heather Gus, age 9, and Doris Denise Milner, age 10, arrived for Girl Scout camp.
Now, before we get too far into this, I want to say, just off that beginning part with the Girl Scout camp, you go to Girl Scout camp and you tell all these spooky stories and the monsters in the woods and all that stuff, and kind of knowing where this story's going, that's creepy.
Exactly.
That's the thing. All right. So we have Michelle Goose, Lori Farmer, and Doris Milner.
Mm-hmm. Such cute little girls.
My cousin had glasses just like this little girl.
Ah.
The 3 Girl Scouts were camping at Camp Scott in Mays County, Oklahoma, which is about an hour from Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas borders. Nomadic Hippie said, "How is Nettie doing?"
Much better. I want to say I'm probably about 85%. It's my energy level that I'm trying to gain back now. But as far as everything else, I'm clear.
Great news.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Hitch Up and Toe. Girl Scout Camp Scott.
1 mile. A thunderstorm broke out the night of the murders, and the 3 took shelter in their tent, number 8. The next morning, the 3 girls weren't found in their tent, but in sleeping bags a little over 100 yards in it. I think is what it should have said.
Camp Scott. The Girl Scouts were found dead in their sleeping bags, but not all from the same cause of death. The youngest girls, Farmer and Goose, were bludgeoned to death, while Milner was strangled. All 3 victims were determined to have been beaten and sexually assaulted prior to death.
Yeah.
They still, to this day, use these tents. They have them on like these wooden platforms just like this, and they still to this day use these tents.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
My daughter was in Girl Scouts and my son was in Boy Scouts, and they had that same setup at both places. And I remember at my son's, a raccoon came in their tent. It was like under their cots and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still use that same setup.
Thank you, Nursing Our Travel Bug. Just hours after they were killed, a counselor discovered the girls' battered bodies stuffed in their sleeping bags and dumped not far from Cookie Trail, the main road into the Girl Scout camp.
Hey, Oracles and Beyond. I want to give a special shout out to Oracles and Beyond. They share out our stream almost every time they're in here, and I really appreciate you sharing it out.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tommy Treble said, "What a boring name for a camp. It should be Trout Lodge or something like that." Oh.
Yeah.
Stuff nightmares are made of. In April, 2 months before Farmer, Goose, and Milner were murdered, a training session was held at Camp Scott. However, the weekend ended prematurely when a counselor's cabin was ransacked, and a disturbing note was discovered in an empty box of donuts. Hey, Full-Time Dream and K&R Destination, welcome to the chat. That just looks creepy. I know it's just because it's black and white, but it looks like cabin in the woods type murder stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like you're waiting to see Jason come out of the corner or something.
Yeah.
The handwritten note warned, "We're on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1. Someone had also created a model of a man, which they hung from a tree by its neck."
What kind of sick individuals are these people?
And this was a few months prior to actually happening that they found this note.
This is kind of mind-boggling that they targeted a Girl Scout camp, left a note saying we're going to do this, and then mind-boggling. All right, so we have the victim's tent,
Mm-hmm.
the storage in the showers, and then the counselor's tent. Oh, so they took the one furthest away and out of sight of the counselor.
Correct. The storage and the showers were blocking the view of that tent from the counselor's tent.
Oracles and Beyond said, "This is sick. You are correct."
Yeah.
KNR said, "Nursing our travel bug. Bro, I might have to start using Bill as our intro." Right. Yeah, this was really thought out, methodically thought out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Travel said, "Can I get a cream-filled 2 Long Johns and a murder note, please?" Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. While both the model and the note were strange and upsetting, the letter also mentioned Martians. The camp administrators dismissed the entire series of events as a tasteless prank. I mean, if they mentioned Martians.
Yeah. Plus, it was a note left behind in a donut box. I don't know how they would have even figured out who left the note, you know?
Yeah. I would have been leery. But then again, if Martians was mentioned, I would think more of a prank.
Yeah.
Right. James Catniece, how are you doing, sir? Pictures of the investigation.
Yeah, that's actually where the sleeping bags were found. Yeah, part of the investigation.
You would think with 3 girls, there would have to been more than one person, too. I would think.
Especially with them being in the same tent without one waking up, or, you know, it seems like it had to have been more than one. So.
Yeah. Full-Time Dream said, "It was police Martians."
Yeah. When Farmer, Goose, and Milner were murdered at Camp Scott, an escaped convict, Jean Leroy Hart, was on the loose in Mayes County, Oklahoma.
When we get done with this whole story, I'm going to tell you a Girl Scout camp story I remember. Just keep that in mind. Keep that little part right there. The Mayes County convict was on the list.
Oh, wow. Anticipation.
Almost the same thing happened here in Florida at a Boy Scout camp. There is a devil tree in the Everglades that it all happened at.
Oh, wow.
This happened the year I was born, said Oracle and Beyond.
Mm.
Hart had been convicted of kidnapping 2 pregnant women and R-ing one of the expectant mothers. He had escaped from police custody in 1973, 4 years before the 3 Girl Scouts were murdered. KNR says, "This just sounds all kinds of messed up and disaster from the get-go." Full-Time Dream said, "This one time in band camp." RV with G said, "Did you have s'mores at the campsite store?" Hey, RV with G. see. The Many Faces of Heart. Let me see if I can read this. Oh, here we go. Prior to his capture Thursday night, law enforcement officials had only old photos and sketches to go by in their search for Jean Leroy Hart, suspect in last summer's slayings of 3 Girl Scouts. The FBI's most recent sketch of Hart, Wright, was released January 30th. At left is a picture of Hart, something his capture. The other photos from lower left are of Hart shortly before his escape from the Mays County Jail in September 1973. During his imprisonment in the state penitentiary at McAllister, and in 1966 when he was arrested in Tulsa on R and burglary charges. All right.
After the girls were killed, law enforcement immediately suspected Hart and conducted a massive search of the area surrounding Camp Scott in an effort to capture him. It looks like it might have been a fire pit, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think in the middle of the campsite, there's always a fire pit where they all come and join each other in the middle of the night or at night. Approximately 10 months after the girls were murdered, a tip led police to a cabin in Cherokee County. There, Hart was arrested on April 6, 1978. Hart was tried for the murders of the Girl Scouts, but the jury found him not guilty. Not guilty?
Yeah.
Well, and there's only one of him. Like we were saying, it probably took more than one person.
Mm-hmm. However, he did return to prison for his original crimes, where he died of a heart attack on June 4th, 1979.
Not long before I was born.
Yeah.
He looks different. I don't know if it's the hair. He just looks kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he's Asian and Caucasian, or Indian and Caucasian. He just looks a little bit different. KNR said that looked creepy and ominous. KNR said not enough evidence, ? Tommy Travels said he was probably in prison though when the note was found. Nursing or Travel Bug, that heart attack sounds like karma to me.
Yeah.
Ippy said y'all are youngsters. KNR said 6 years after I was born. Thanks, BB. Make me feel older now. Aww.
In 2008, DNA tests were performed on biological evidence collected from a pillowcase found at the Camp Scott crime scene, revealing a potential female DNA profile.
What?
There's the twist right there. Yeah.
What? I'm so confused. Experts determined this female DNA profile didn't come from 2 of the murder victims, although they were unable to conclusively exclude the 3rd girl as the source of the biological evidence. I'm about to get real angry if a woman was involved in hurting these kids.
Yeah. Well, the sample recovered from the pillowcase may belong to one of the murder victims. It's possible it came from a woman who may have been present at the time of the killings.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
One of the victim's mothers, Sherry Farmer, told a newspaper, "I've always felt in my gut that there was a girl present. Given the DNA results, you have to wonder if there wasn't also a female who took part in the murders."
It's pretty sad.
Well, that would explain maybe how they didn't scream or anything at first. If there was a female they knew that made them feel more comfortable.
Yeah, or it could have been somebody there at the camp that they knew that kind of put them at ease, and then all the rest of the stuff happened.
Well, and if the person was there 6 months or however long prior at the meeting or whatever, because they left a note and then came back later and did the murder, that was probably somebody that was on staff, I would think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Or somebody that lives real close.
Right.
KNR said maybe another camper.
Yeah. And a lot of the camp counselors are like kids. They're like teenagers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They usually have like the parents, and then they have the older girls, is how the leaders work.
Yeah.
The day after Farmer, Goose, and Milner were murdered, Camp Scott was evacuated and shut down. The camp, which opened in 1928, remains closed to this day, though the site is frequently visited by ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts who claim the area is haunted by the three girls. Full-Time Dream said maybe a woman that had issues there when she was a scout.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy that they shut it down and just never did anything with it after that.
Right. In the 1980s, the Girl Scouts sold the camp, but the new owners appear to have done little, if anything, with the property. A picnic table, a stone fireplace, and multiple wood tent platforms remain at the site, although they have been devoured by weeds and other vegetation. Why buy it if you're not going to do anything with it?
Maybe to hunt on the property and stuff. A lot of people buy property just to hunt on it. But I'm trying to think, like, they probably had to have electricity ran to the property at some point for like the cooking and stuff of the meals. Maybe not, because a lot of the time you cook on a fire, but also they have the cafeteria usually where kids get fed. I don't know. If I was going to buy property that had electricity run to it, I would probably do something with it. If it didn't have electricity on it, maybe they were just using it for hunting.
Right.
I don't know. I guess it is smart to shut it down after the murders, because like who would want to bring their kids back down there? You know what I mean?
Exactly. They probably shouldn't keep it the same as far as it being a camp, Yeah. But
that looks like it could have been like the mess hall.
Yeah.
Maybe to stop it reopening, Hitch Up and Toe said. Nursing Our Trouble said, "Gotta go make dinner. We'll have you on in the background, but won't be active in chat." Thank you, Nursing Our Travel Bug. Shanna Craft says, "An RV park." Tommy Travels. "I would rebuild the platforms and rent to ghost hunters." Now that would be a thing. Like rebuild exactly where those platforms were. That would be. That's a good idea, Tommy.
Oklahoma. Hippie.
Or Full-Time Dream. That's who said that. Tommy said land just goes up in value, so it could just be an investment. Nomadic Hippie said, it's Oklahoma. They didn't get electricity until 1995. KNR, that looks like unmarked graves, just saying. I think these are like where they had tables, maybe.
That's what held the floor.
I don't know whose turn it is.
Okay. In 1989, Reverend Gerald Malney contacted the authorities to say he thought 4 men were responsible for ending the lives of Farmer, Goose, and Milner. Manley provided law enforcement with the names of 2 of the people he said killed the girls. And while officials investigated the tip provided by the Reverend, they were unable to link the men to the murderers.
Probably after all those years, it would be hard to.
Yeah, because this is 89 already, you know.
That fits our theory about multiple murderers.
Yeah.
Manley said he went to Camp Scott with 4 men who he claimed needed his Christian influence. He saw the dead body of one of the girls and 2 sleeping bags that appeared to contain the corpses that of the 2 other Girl Scouts. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The Reverend went and saw the dead bodies?
I'm thinking it probably was a dream of some sort, you know, because he wasn't present during the time.
So weird.
Yeah.
(11/6/17). The killer was here. Bye. Fools. Ooh.
Yeah. While police have been unable to, how do you say that?
Corroborate.
Yeah, the Reverend's story. Manley reportedly passed a lie detector test when questioned about his claims and provided the same account while under hypnosis.
KNR said, wait, I'm so confused now. Who saw what when? Well, Manley, which I believe is the Reverend, was saying that he saw 2 of the girls' bodies in sleeping bag with these men that he gave names to the police of. But I'm wondering why the Reverend's at the murder site seeing and just now speaking, if that's the case. People say anything sometimes, though. In addition to biological evidence recovered from the crime scene, the authorities also found semen on a pillowcase near the victims' bodies. That's just sick. This is sick. I don't get the kid thing. I don't. That one I have the hardest time wrapping my head around. Kids are so innocent.
Yeah.
Nomadic Hippie said, I cluck like a chicken under hypnosis. KNR said, things that make you say,
The FBI tested the sample in 1989, and while they were unable to rule Jean Leroy Hart out as a person who left the body fluids at the scene, the test was inconclusive.
Nomadic Hippie, semen, that's strange. There is no ocean near Oklahoma. I love that we all, as a group here, can be doing such a horrific story and find a way to kind of laugh through it. Otherwise, this would be rough if we didn't find some way to laugh. I'm guessing that's blood on the wood. They were unable to definitively match the convicted kidnapper and the rapist to the Girl Scout murderers.
In 2008, the authorities decided to test the semen again in hopes of getting more conclusive results. Unfortunately, after several decades, the DNA sample was simply too degraded for technicians to create a profile of the person who left it.
That also meant that Hart still wasn't ruled out, and despite being found not guilty, many people remain convinced that he committed the killings. Hippie said, "It's horrific. This is the worst story you've done. It's insane that things like this happen." Donald, hey. He said, "Thank you for doing this. I know one family member." Aw. Well, Donald,
Yeah.
thank you for letting us know about it to cover it.
Yeah, thank you, Donald.
Three Tulsa area Girl Scouts slain, child molester sought. I can't read any of the rest of that, but
Yeah.
it's just, they're so innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Travels, I would hate to make a living as a semen tester. Oh boy, oh boy. On the night Farmer, Goose, and Milner were viciously arred and murdered, several campers and counselors, people at Camp Scott, heard disturbing noises.
At around 1:30 a.m., multiple people heard moaning sounds coming from the direction of the murdered girl's sleeping quarters, tent number 8. A counselor investigated the noises but couldn't find the source, so she went back to sleep.
It sounds like they took one child out at a time and maybe they didn't notice one girl missing. Ugh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being the counselor and having to live with that the rest of your life, that like you were supposed to be watching these kids and they didn't make it home? That would be terrible.
It has to be so devastating, you know?
Approximately 30 minutes later, a camper in tent number 7 was awoken when someone with a flashlight opened the flap to the tent. At around 3 a.m., a Girl Scout heard a scream come from the section of camp where tent number 8 was located. KNR said, "This is all just too horrible. Just think they could have stopped it all if they would have investigated further."
Yeah. It was also a stormy night. It was raining pretty bad, so people probably just didn't want to get out of their tents, you know?
That and maybe thinking that the noises they were hearing were the wind and the storm.
Lightning, whatever. Yeah, the elements. Yeah. At approximately the same time, another camper heard a scream, followed by someone crying, "Mama, Mama." Unsure of what to do, the Girl Scout went back to sleep.
See, and that I could almost say they could chalk up to like a kid having a nightmare because they miss home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess when you think about it, like, who's going to think there's a murder on a safe place where you're there with kids? And you know what I mean? Like, no one would.
That probably something that never even came to mind that it would be
Yeah.
that, you know.
Tommy Trouble said Columbo would have solved this whole thing in an hour.
"10 days after the bodies of Farmer, Goose, and Milner were discovered, a number of items connected to the killings and the convicted criminal were found in a cave approximately 3 miles from Camp Scott."
You know they're on a mission if they're coming from 3 miles away. Also,
Yeah.
the cave thing makes me wonder more about the convict. Was he living in the cave?
Right.
Then at the same time, it could have been somebody that worked for the camp still because they would know the property and the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, Full-Time Dream said, the Hart guy was on the run. Don't think a guy hiding from police would write a letter and eat donuts about his next crime. That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. If he's running from the police, he's going to stay as quiet as possible. So that probably takes the Hart guy off of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could have been a coincidence. He didn't know that somebody played that prank earlier and then he can't. But that'd be a hell of a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Three caves figure in scout case. Cave number 2. Oh, so there's a couple caves over there.
Yeah, and the cave one is further down. That once it grows, you'll be able to see it.
Go back.
There it is.
There we go. Cave 1, about 3 miles from the camp on Spring Creek, is about 100 feet from a cellar and foundation that was the boyhood home of Jean Leroy Hart.
Oh.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of Lori Lee Farmer, 8, Michelle Goose, 9, and then I can't see the other girl's name right now. Yeah. Well, that's even more interesting then.
Mm-hmm. Kind of connects the dots a little bit there.
I mean, if he was mentally ill, maybe he would leave a letter and like kind of mess with them a little bit. But I still am with Full-Time Dream where I don't think he would leave a letter. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, you got to be kind of mentally ill to do this crime that was done. So.
Mm-hmm.
In the cave, law enforcement recovered photographs Hart had developed. Investigators also found a roll of tape and a pair of sunglasses in a vinyl case that had been taken from a counselor at Camp Scott. Plus, law enforcement recovered pages from a Tulsa newspaper, a section of which was discovered stuffed inside a flashlight that was found near the lifeless bodies of the 3 young girls. He's looking more and more guilty.
Yep.
Maybe he had help.
Yeah, I still can't believe it was only one person.
Yeah. Donald says they're going to reopen this case, I was told by a family member.
Well, that's good. They really need to solve it.
Hippie says, I wonder if Hart had a psychological evaluation done. I would love to read it. I can't believe with all of that they didn't pin this on him. Like take him back, go again once they found all the stuff in the cave and the newspaper.
Right.
And if the girls were sleeping, depending on how old they were, if they were sleeping and he carried them out while they were asleep and then did one crime at a time, then maybe that's how he kind of got away with it, if it was one person doing it. But I don't know. Tommy Treble said, but Hart had just escaped from prison when the murders happened. Wasn't the note found sometime before that? Hey, Fantastic Travels. Well, that's kind of goes back to what I was saying before, where I wonder if somebody played a prank with the note and the mannequin body and stuff. Just they were just joking and played a prank. And then it just so happened that later this happened.
And it was actually the same number. It was 3 girls, that were in one tent that got murdered, that the note said that was going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of craziness. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Usually people just go and murder and then they move on their way. It's not like this methodically planned out to leave a note in a donut box, hang a mannequin body. Like, I don't know. Also, who bought the property? What's that guy?
I know. Yeah. No one has been convicted of killing Farmer, Goose, and Milner. Many people are confident that Gene Leroy Hart actually murdered the girls, despite a jury finding him not guilty. But the victims' parents believe justice wasn't done for their daughters.
Yeah, I don't think there can be justice until they find out who it was, and who it was punished, or they at least have a name. Like, there's no justice if you don't find that.
No.
Hippie said, what if he didn't do it? Was in the wrong place at the wrong time, as there were real killers nearby, like American Horror Story 1984 season.
Yeah.
Full-Time Dream said, didn't the note say exactly what was going to happen? Yes. It did. I think it said tent 1, but then it ended up being tent 8, though.
Yeah, I did say tent 1.
Yeah. But that could be easily confused because tent 1 would be at the end on one side and tent 8 would be on the end on the other side. But maybe there was multiple people and the person that went in and got the first body didn't know which tent was when. I don't know. Now I'm really going into heavy thinking on this because it's just crazy.
A little bit crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. Oh.
Of course, that's when he was found not guilty.
According to the mothers of some of the victims, one of the reasons Hart was found not guilty of the murders was because he was a former high school football star and Cherokee. Oh, Cherokee Indian. Okay. According to Betty Milner, Denise Milner's mother, after Hart was acquitted, people cheered and rejoiced. So she thinks because he was a high school football star and a Cherokee Indian that's why he was acquitted?
Yeah.
I don't think they would acquit somebody that was like guilty based on those two things. Do you?
I don't. It was just emotional, probably, when you find out that he is not found guilty. It's got to be a hard thing to swallow.
KNR said, y'all got me way too confused. Who did what, when, with who? That's so messed up. Yeah, we don't know who did it. I guess it's still not solved.
Yeah, it's still not solved.
We do know that The guy who escaped prison, his childhood home was right by the cave where they found a bunch of stuff in the cave. He went to try. Oh, there was a piece of newspaper that was in the
from
cave.
Tulsa News.
And part of that same paper was in a flashlight down at the murder scene. They said in here. That's about it. Betty Milner. Nomadic Hippie says, Tent 8 is rotted away and the tent platforms are not numbered anymore. And when you go to the site, you have to guess where the exact spot was from videos I've watched on this murder.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's true.
Kanar says, I was about to ask if this murder was still open.
That's one of the mothers, and it's her daughter right there.
You send them off to camp, you miss them while they're gone, and then they just never come back. That has got to be so heartbreaking. How do you recover from something like that?
And the thing is, BB, it happened the first day at camp. That next morning. It was the very first day.
It's terrible.
In 2011, John Russell, who was convicted of embezzlement and check fraud, announced that he was making Candles, a film about the murders at Camp Scott. Russell decided to make a film about the case because he said that while he was in the Alachua County Jail in 1979, one of his fellow inmates, Carl Lee Myers, confessed to the killings.
Happy Place said, or maybe one of the leaders or something did it, and they knew Hart had escaped and had ties with the land close by, so they basically framed him. Maybe a stretch, but not totally impossible. I agree.
That's true. That's true.
So this guy's saying that Carl Lee Myers confessed to the killings while he was in jail with John.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry Holly.
Hey, Jerry.
After Michael Goose's death, after Michelle Goose's death, her father, Richard Goose, helped establish the Victims' Bill of Rights in Oklahoma, as well as the Oklahoma Victims' Compensation Board. Tommy Travels said, plus, they think there was a female present during the murder. I really doubt that he was on the loose from prison, picked up a girl, and committed a triple murder.
Yeah.
KNR said Hart passed, meaning passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we read that he passed away?
He passed away in prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donald said they believe they have someone the police are looking into, old DNA, which is still good. That person they're looking into has said he's part of a group because of insurance on the land.
After Hart got convicted for the rape, the R charges, of the other women, he ended up passing in prison, but was never convicted for this crime.
Donald says that person has died. Gotcha. Richard Goose. Now he's the one that we just read about that started the Victims' Rights.
Yeah, that's a father and he also recently has passed away as well for finding out who murdered his daughter. Yeah.
I don't know how a parent lives with something like that. I just don't.
Yeah. Is
this one mine?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Goose said that he felt as though he and his wife were ignored by law enforcement and prosecutors. So he drafted the bill to create coordinating centers in Oklahoma to keep victims and families involved in every step of the legal process.
The Compensation Board helps provide victims and their family members with money to assist with expenses like medical bills.
Hitchup and Toe, you couldn't be any more correct with that statement. You should never outlive your children. Just shouldn't happen.
Exactly.
Dr. Charles Bow Farmer and his wife, Sherry.
They're the parents of a farmer that passed away. She was the youngest victim.
Lori Farmer's mother, Sherry Farmer, founded the Oklahoma chapter of Parents of Murdered Children, an organization dedicated to providing assistance and support to families of homicide victims. Cookie Trail to Camp Scott, private property of Girl Scouts. That was a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Tragic. Very, very tragic. What do you all think?
Yeah, it was it's a pretty sad story to research. But I just really hope they can get to the bottom of it and solve it, because of the poor parents having to suffer all these years when it happened in the 70s, you know?
I can't imagine something like that happening and then going the rest of your life not knowing no justice for that. None.
It's supposed to be, I don't know how long camp is. Is it normally a week or so, BB, when they go to camp?
Yeah. Well, some are a week. Most of them are a week, but then there can be some that go for the whole month, or depends on what one you're doing. But most of them are a week, right at a week, or sometimes even only 4 days. So
you go with the excitement of enjoying your camp, and then all this happens on the first day you're there. I can't imagine.
And that's when most kids are scared and having nightmares and crying for their parents and stuff. So I think maybe that's another reason not hearing or thinking that the sounds were unusual.
Right.
Nomadic Hippie said, support of family of murdered children should not even have to exist. That's crazy and sad. Oracles and Beyond said, I hate when they don't get solved. No justice. That's the worst. KNR says, that was awful. I couldn't imagine the pain you'd feel, especially without any closure. Tommy said, I wouldn't be me on outliving a goldfish. Oracles and Beyond said, you shouldn't have to worry about stuff like this. Fantastic Travels said, creepy gnome.
This is Mel. This is my.
He's so cute. I love that gnome. He's a biker gnome.
It's a biker. Kyle wants it.
Full-Time Dream said, most of the scout camps are both boy and girl, have been closed for years now. Well, we have a Girl Scout camp out here. We have 2 of them. One's a horse camp, and then one's just an overnight camp. And they're pretty similar to that setup that we just saw, only it's still in usable condition. And the girls camp just like that was, where you camp in one the adults camp in one tent, and then all the
Yeah.
kids camp in their own tents after a certain age. I want to say it's
Here's
third or
mine.
fourth. I love it.
Right.
Fantastic Travel said gnomes come alive at night.
No, they don't.
Oh, so the Girl Scout story real quick. My parents would send me to camp. My godmother sent me. And my sister would go too. And we would stay for a week. And our parents didn't go. But we had cabins that we stayed in. And then we had teenagers that led us, And
Yeah.
one of the things you did when you got to a certain age was you all got on the bus, your group, your age group, and then you rode the bus out to this like country road thing, and there was a field and there was trails, and you walked down all the trails, and then you camp in the woods for the night. So this sounds really scary already.
Yeah.
But here's what makes it scarier. On the bus, the older kids who are supposed to be watching over you tell you the story of an escaped convict that recently escaped and has been running around, and he was in jail to begin with for murdering young girls, and then here you are hearing he's escaped and he's nearby, and then you got to camp out in the woods. So I think they might have taken that real story and turned it into something that they used to scare us. And then what they would do was they would say they heard something, and you got to hold hands and you got to get back to the bus. And so you're running back to the bus and you're all holding hands in a line. You get back on the bus, and then they have one of the counselors outside the bus slam their body against the bus and scare the crap out of everybody.
Oh, gosh, that's nuts.
Yeah, it was terrifying, but I knew it was coming because my sister had already done it.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, this is going to happen at some point. But I will tell you all an embarrassing Girl Scout story. You don't get to take like backpacks and all that stuff when I was younger. You got to take your pillow, your blankets, and a change of clothes. And they told you to stuff your clothes in your pillowcase. I stuffed my clothes in my pillowcase. I walked down the trail. I get down there, and here comes the guidance counselor, and he's holding up a bra. And he says, "One of you girls dropped a bra. Which one is it?" And I'm looking at my bra. And I'm going, nope, ain't my bra. Don't know nothing about it. This man's holding up my bra in front of all the boys, all the girls.
Oh, my.
Had fallen out of my pillowcase. I was like, that bra is gone now. Trash. Don't know who it is.
That's too funny.
So we're gonna raid Boxy and D. I appreciate you all so much coming. Nettie, you got anything to say real quick to wrap this up?
Nope, this was pretty good story. And again, any suggestions, you can email BB or me or put it in the comments, and we'll definitely go from there. We love suggestions.
Let me read 2 comments real quick. Full-Time Dream said, there was a Girl Scout camp through the wood at my aunt's house. My cousin and I would sneak through the woods and scare them at night. Not as funny now. KNR said, BB just walked by braless. Laugh out loud. I'm just going to set them free on this trip. Very true. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. As I always say, Sundays is my favorite night, and tonight was even better because Nettie made it back.
Oh, my favorite too. Thank you.
Wishing all much kindness and much love.
And we're sending love your way. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.